Hello ratbags, this Jade plays games with a huge informational dump about Ark Survival Evolved and Extinction. I've got news that is going to absolutely make some people go out of their minds. Maybe not in a good way, maybe in a bad way, maybe in a very good way. Who knows? It depends on how much you like big, massive, giant robots. What the hell am I talking about? Well, I'm going to give it to you. But first, I want to address something. Yesterday, I done a video talking about the fact that Wildcard need to fix their game. You can see it there, fix your game. It's in response to other tubers having problems and being issues, being wiped by the developers for building certain spots and for highlighting the fact that picks are really broken in the game. So got a really good response. Absolutely keep pushing this message across social media, across the forums, that Wildcard need to take a real good look at meshing and buildable areas on all the maps to make sure no confusion happens. Now, obviously in that video, I do talk quite negatively about Ark, and that's just the way it is. I'm really critical of Ark, but when new stuff comes along, I also get excited. I can't wait for Ark Extinction to come out because it's going to finish off something for me. I've been covering Ark for nearly 2.5 years. In fact, this December, it's going to be 3 years of Ark Survival Evolved content on my channel. I've done over 900 videos about Ark Survival Evolved alone, maybe even more. I've done so many different things in Ark: guides, tutorials, let's plays, first looks, reactions, updates, news videos. So it's not that easy just to say, hey, move on. I still enjoy many aspects of Ark when I get into it, but I constantly need something to draw me back into the game. And I'm really hoping the Extinction DLC will do that. Aberration didn't do it for me. I didn't enjoy it at all. So I'm really hoping that Extinction's gonna do the job. So if you're wondering why I can go from being critical and negative about Ark and then positive or taking a look at something that's coming, it's simply the way it is. You love a game, but you hate the way it's developed sometimes. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because I do get a lot of comments saying don't cover Ark anymore if you're that unhappy with it and stuff like that. I barely do like one video a week now on Ark, literally the community crunch, or if there was something really big. And this is pretty big. So, enough waffling from me. What the hell am I talking about? We know that there's going to be Titans in the game. We know there's going to be 4 Titans. You can see here we've got the Tree Ent Titan that was revealed in the community crunch and in the screenshots from last week. We know we've got the big large Titan from the actual trailer. And we have got some mysterious creatures that we're not too sure whether they're going to be just a normal tame or they could possibly be a Titan creature as well. Now, this retweet got tweeted by Chris Wildcores, and it's basically alluding to the fact there's some sort of robotic armour. That's what many people are assuming this is coming to Ark Extinction. Well, I've got exclusive for you now. It's not armour. In fact, it's a giant, massive sized robot. You can't see much, and I'm going to keep replaying it until you get a really good idea of what it is. So this got put out a few days ago, and people are going mad over it, wondering what it could be. Is it going to be armour? Is it going to be a creature that you'll fight? This is in fact a huge robot you're going to need to take on some of the Titans. In fact, you may need it to face the King Titan. There are actually 5 Titans in the game. So how do I know all this information? Well, I dig around, and that's what I do best. A couple of weeks ago, a few of the Wildcard executives went over to Japan to the Tokyo Game Show and done a media presentation. This is what they do generally, and we've learned a lot of information from this in the past. We learned from these interviews that Ark on Nintendo Switch is coming at the end of November. That's when they're scheduling it for, and that's what they're designing it for. They also spoke about how the fact that DLC for the Nintendo Switch won't be available at launch. You won't be able to play Aberration, or will you be able to play even Scorched Earth until at some point next year. They also showed off Ark, of course, which is a bit of a dead game. I've got another video talking about that at the moment, but basically there's new DLC coming for it. And the most interesting of all is they got to talk a tiny bit about Extinction. Now, it's literally only a couple questions. Obviously, these are translated. I've gone through various different ways to taking a look at some of this stuff to see if I can get the best translation, and I think I've found it. We know that there's going to be 4 Titans, and the Titans will patrol this sort of zone you can see in this picture here. You've got the actual dome, and the idea is that the Titan, when you summon it, will run around that area, or it will be confined to that one area. What if I told you there was a Titan that was double the size of what we've already seen? If in fact I told you the devs think it's the biggest enemy they've ever seen in a game before. This enemy is going to be pretty much like a Titanosaur. It's going to be running across the Ark map. It won't be confined to this bubble anywhere. It will run around the whole of the map. It will be able to damage your base, and you will have to take it on at some point. In Japan, monsters are called kaiju. It comes from the Godzilla sort of franchise, or generally that's where they get a lot of ideas from. And this is where Ark and Wildcard are taking this, and I can't believe they're actually putting the game in this direction. It seems a bit mad, but not only are you going to be fighting the 4 titans in these zones, not only is there going to be a massive large titan running across the map, but this little teaser clip of what appeared to first look like armor or some sort of tiny robot is in actual fact a huge massive robot that players are going to have to build together to take on the king monster. So the interview goes on saying the stage of extinction is a future Earth that was made high-tech by an unknown plague, and creatures other than dinosaurs died. A map where players will challenge survival is a harsh environment. There are toxic areas that cannot be captured without special equipment. So we know that already. We knew that these sort of sulfuric acid fields are going to be something we're going to have to go and get. And we knew that the corruption had basically taken hold of a lot of creatures. Furthermore, on the planet of the future, a huge organism named King Kaiju appears. The size is said to be the biggest dinosaur at present is about the nail of King Kaiju. So it is a little bit lost in translation here, but it's saying it's too big to imagine for a moment. Now, the people that are actually doing this show are one of the founding members of Studio Wildcard and also some producer for the game as well. He says it may be the biggest creature in game history, according to Diana. In addition, there are 4 types of kaiju, so there's the 4 titans that we know about. And did you know that they are related to their biomes? So there is going to be an ice biome, there is the forest biome, there's something called the ruins biome, and there is something obviously with the desert as well. I pulled this little bit of information from another interview going over the details of the game media sort of presentation. But that was something you kind of would expect anyway, but there is going to be a kaiju or titan for the ice, the ruins, the desert and the forest. We've already seen the tree ant obviously. And who knows, maybe that wyvern style creature that looks a bit like Falcor from, what's it called? Neverending Story. Maybe that's an actual ice baddie. According to this article, they are about half the size of the King Kaiju. So whatever size them titans are going to be, the actual end game boss or this monster that runs across the lands of Ark Extinction is going to be twice the size. So it goes on to say this. King Kaiju cannot give damage in normal attack because of its size, so i.e. you will not be able to damage it with just your regular guns, you know, your bow and arrow. Going up to it and trying to trank it is not an option. Players will also fight on a huge robot. The idea of this robot that crafts for each part such as arm and leg and becomes able to be ridden by assembling at the end. It is influenced by Japanese animations including Gundam. The size when assembled was said that it was about the size of the King Kaiju and the usual Kaiju. That is what's going to happen. This isn't just an armor suit. This isn't just a small mob running around the map. This is a suit you're going to have to build with other players to take on the largest titan in the game. Each section will have to be built by certain players, or you're going to have to pull resources together to do it, and that's how you'll achieve it. I'm guessing you're going to need some sort of core component from defeating the 4 titans. Now that's conjecture, I don't know that for definite, but that's what seems likely. In terms of progression, in terms of what you're going to do in the game, the idea obviously is that you're going to be beating bosses to get to the last boss. We've seen that already in Ark. Before you fight the Overseer, you have to take on the Dragon, the Megapithecus and the Broodmother. And so it makes sense that you'd have to take on the 4 titans and then go and take on this massive huge Kaiju. Honestly, it is a little bit mad. So when you guys were tweeting me and saying why haven't I covered this, I really didn't want to cover just one tiny little clip. I wanted to dig out some information, and that's why it's taken a couple days, because it takes a while going through Google Translate finding all these Japanese sites. I did know that the Wildcard team went to Japan, but I didn't know exactly what they were doing there. Wildcard Chris, the guy that actually tweeted this out, was part of that crew, I do believe, that went to the Tokyo Game Show, but nothing was announced and there was no real big news. So it seems like it was more about just helping things along with survival of the fittest tournament they had sort of running, and maybe obviously talking up the game's new DLC, which is coming out on 6th November. So each one of these arms and legs is actually going to be a huge piece. Now I know what you're thinking, or maybe it's not, maybe it's just a smaller monster, but I really do believe the way they are hyping this up and teasing, and the way that news has just come from that interview, that's what we're going to be doing. You're going to be fighting some sort of Godzilla styled monster with one of these big huge robots. So there's some more Q&A questions here. How do you fight Robot of Extinction? And obviously it is a bit lost in translation. Multiple players get in for each. The answer was part and operation by fighting each. Since it is possible to attack with parts alone, for example, it may be possible to knock down with only legs if it is a normal Kaju. But in the Battle of King Kaju, cooperation between players will be indispensable. Why is the gigantic creature extinction named Kaju? Will it be named Kaju in the worldwide? They've said, I thought that Kaju is the best naming to draw people's interests. The influencer to Who's Godzilla, etc. has always raised awareness of the word Kaju, and many Hollywood films have been made with works of Kaju as a motif. As a result, the recognition of big monster equals Kaju, mainly in the United States, is penetrating, so it's planned to be developed under the name of Kaju in the worldwide. So it does look like they may be changing the word Titan to something like Kaju. Can you handle Kaju? There is no schedule so far, but as a studio wildcard I like to respond to fans' requests as much as possible. So if there are any requests such as fans after release, 4 types other than King Kaju may be a good idea. You may be able to come up with it. I think he's talking about mods there. In battle with Kaju, does the base of the player get stamped? The 4 types of Kaju inhabit in each specific area. The King Kaju wanders through the whole area, so the base may be destroyed. Please make a strong base. And obviously he made a little laugh at his joke. Can the battle robot to robot be performed with PvP? So will you be able to fight with your robot and your tribe pieces that you put together against another tribe's pieces? You cannot do it with an official server, but you can do it with a rental server. I think that this is a unique part of Ark Survival Evolved, but in rental servers players can create their own play. So there we go guys, that is pretty much all the information. Like I said, I've poured through lots and lots of different types of these reports, and that is the clearest one that gives more information. In this interview, the reporter does stress that he wasn't able to show any screenshots because they weren't allowed. The information is scheduled to be released in November, so the information that can be released this time is small, but as long as you hear that monsters and robots will be added, expectations will rise. I was able to show some of the concept art, but the monster and the robot were both interesting designs. Please look forward to the public here. So, expect some big stuff being announced. We're going to see more at TwitchCon, we're going to see more at their One Life charity event. But that is what to expect. A massive Godzilla styled creature which could possibly be the monster at the end of the trailer. When you look at the Ark Extinction trailer and you look at that monster at the end, it does seem extremely large. I'm not too sure that is just one of the normal Kaju. Compared to something like the Treant that we've seen that we're taking is going to be a Kaju as well. It does look a bit too big compared to that one. So maybe that is the big huge creature that runs across the whole map. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about working on official servers where you're going to have to pair up with other tribes? By the sounds of it, it says that you can get the legs together. So what, are you going to be running around with just legs in a suit? Players will be able to control it from some sort of control room or cockpit. And you'll be able to take out smaller Kaju with just your legs or just one arm. But you're going to need the full bodysuit to take on the big King Kaju. It's all just a bit mad and bonkers. I started off the start of this video saying this news might piss off a lot of people. I can already see it now. I just think a lot of people are going to be turned off by these ideas. Wildcard aren't exactly the most original game developers sometimes. They literally expanded and exploded because of the interest in dinosaurs due to Jurassic World. You could argue that they then went a next step further in imitating dragons from things like Game of Thrones with their Scorched Earth DLC. And the Aberration DLC has been notoriously labelled as a homage to the Alien movies, even sharing the same baddie names, Xenomorphs. So now they're taking on the Godzilla franchise with the same namings for some of the creatures, or the Japanese word at least for monster. It strikes me as just a bit underwhelming. These are huge ideas, these will be huge creatures running across the map, it's going to be nuts, but just because it's big and flashy doesn't make it a good idea. And I'd much prefer more original core concept ideas from them rather than necessarily just imitating what's already out there. You let me know in the comments section down below. What do you think is going to happen in PvP servers? Are you going to have to work with your enemies to take on one of these guys? From the way they responded there, it does seem like you won't be able to fight other players with the big huge suit. Or you will be able to, but you won't necessarily be able to have 2 of the suits on the server at the same time. There must be a cooldown or a limit to how much time you can use it for. I think it will be something like the Titanosaur again, where you get to control it, maybe only 1 or 2 on a map. And what do you think about the Titan sizes? How big is big? Like, what do we want? Do you really want this huge monster stomping around the map as you're trying to do something? Imagine you're about to tame some level 150 super dinosaur that's got the big corruption in it, and then all of a sudden this big Kaiju just comes up and just squishes you. I think people are going to be pissed off. I don't think there's going to be that many people happy with this. You let me know though. Tell me if you're wrong. Are you really super excited to see this kind of thing? Is it going to be interesting running around controlling a big huge mech from a cockpit? I shared some of this information in my Discord first. If you want to keep up to date with all the latest information about Ark Survival Evolved, then come and join Discord. As we get close to launch, I am going to be covering Extinction more. Like I said at the start, it's hard for me to let go. I want to see the ending of Ark. I want to experience it and I want to play it and I want to see what this last DLC is going to be about. I'm not going to lie, once it's out and I've played it for 3 or 4 weeks, that could be it for me and I may never touch Ark ever again. But I want to finish it off. I want to see what this last DLC brings and I want to see the conclusion of the meager parts of the story that are in the game. So, get notifications turned on. You've got to click on the bell and then sometimes go into your settings and make sure you get all notifications. Also, come and join me on Twitch. I'm going to be doing my top 30 survival games very soon. I'm going to be playing it daily. You're going to get to see me actually get the footage for my videos. So if you want to see me play a bunch of survival games, absolutely come and follow me on Twitch right now. And that is it, guys. That is all the information about Ark Survival Evolved and Extinction at the moment. Let me know in the comment section what you think about it all. And don't forget, obviously, the issues I highlighted yesterday with fixing the game. It would be amazing if Extinction releases and they've got rid of so many of the problems in the past that we don't hear any issues about meshing on the brand new DLC, or that some items can allow you to go off the map. I'm Jade Plays Games. I'll see you ratbags later.